once again, David has come back to join us. Mostly as an attendee, but we thought we'd get him to do some work because apparently he doesn't like coming to conventions without doing some work. So we're making it work.
Anything not to write.
Yes. So it's like any other writer, basically. Ladies and gentlemen, David Wake.
We were chatting in the bar, we weren't in the bar, about why conventions bother big writers here. As you know, if you ask a writer a question, they will come up with the apt, pithy, witty response if they're given a fortnight. And I thought I would demonstrate the writing method in this session by making it up as I go along. But every time I asked the convention what they wanted, they said, oh, anything. So this is anything. I think if you're given constraints, your creativity fights against it, doesn't it? But if you're allowed to do anything, you can't do it. So if you feel free to ask questions, I can go to questions and answers now. or do a reading.
Is that all padding?
Okay, I'll start off.
New project.
Yeah.
Do you actually sort of go, I have to write something about something, or does this idea just cross your head and you thought, I've got to write that?
This is where do you get your ideas from question, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the most common question asked to writers, and it's always hopelessly. They always come with some joke, like I get mine at impact of $6,000 market, or something like that. And I think it's a daft question.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Tickets 1 to 20 for the photos, and we'll hold a space for you when you finish. So you've got vehicles, don't worry. So if anybody's got 1 to 20, okay, thank you. This will happen, I suspect.
I think. And I think the reason this is always answered quite badly is because the question's back in front. You don't think, I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to get some ideas, I want to get ideas. No, I think you have an idea, and it needs to be written.
Yeah.
So I had an idea about Twitter. If you were forced to tweet all your thoughts all the time, oh, that's a good idea, let's write that down. Or something about an intelligent phone, oh gosh, that's a good idea. In fact, I came up with the idea of doing something about artificial intelligent phones that will still used as fashion accessories, so you chuck them away. And then the second thought going, oh, I could have one of the characters to be a phone, that's a good idea. And I thought, oh, the challenge is actually to do the whole thing from the first person's perspective of a phone. And then that idea kind of, you must do that idea. So where do you get your ideas from? It's cart before a horse, really.
I'll tell you where I get mine from.
Yeah?
Booze. It's bizarre. I just get drunk, and of course your mind wanders off, and suddenly this idea just slaps you around the face, and you just got to write it down. And when you sober up, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Film soundtracks I use. Film soundtracks from films I don't know. A hashtag was written to the soundtrack for I Am Number 4, film I've never seen. If I ever see it, I'm going to be shocked because the visuals will be nothing like what I imagined. Because they make your mind wander, go to interesting places. I think that's the other thing to say. If you take somebody and do an MRI scan of them, I had a lot of MRI scans, partly as a guinea pig, and then partly because there's something badly wrong with down here. And I was lying in an MRI scanner, listening to the noises that it makes. They're extraordinary noises. And I thought it sounds just like the soundtrack to Forbidden Planet. You know those noises that you get? I bet it is. I got the soundtrack for Forbidden Planet. I drove listening to the soundtrack, lay in the machine for an hour and a half, listening to the same thing, and oh my brain, it's a funny place at the end of that. But if you do an MRI scan of somebody with the right things, you'll see electrical activity going off in your brain all the time. Because we don't work like computers. I've seen it. I can't find this picture, but I've seen a picture where somebody X-rayed a silicon chip, and it looks exactly like a maze, and you can see the electrical connection going through that sort of maze solution. And the silicon chip has a single route through the chip every clock cycle, doesn't it? That's how it does its thinking. The human brain doesn't work anything like that. neurons fire all the time, continuously, and that's ideas. And we have this mental trick in our brains called being self-aware consciousness. We think, there's that phrase, isn't there? I think, therefore I am. That's absolute nonsense. We think, therefore I finally make a decision. That's how it works. So everybody's continuously coming up with ideas. It's part of the way your brain works. The writing trick is to develop the radar to spot when you've had one, and have your notebook and write it down as fast as you can. That's.
I've got another one.
Does that answer your first question?
Yeah. Do you reuse failed ideas? You had this idea, you wrote it down, thought this is going nowhere, you toss it to one side, and maybe months, years, whatever later, you accidentally find it again and thought, oh, I've got another idea for this story, and write a bit more.
I used to write things in a little notebook. I'm trying to train myself to use my phone. And then I wrote it in a notebook. And then I would copy it into a file called ideas.doc on the computer. So this is all the ideas like a word I'm typing. And it's 20,000 words. So if you ever want to start something and you can't think what to do, I go to this file, tumble down, oh, there's a nice line, I'll stick that in, so on and so forth. It's got such gems as, I quote, man meets woman with a name, e.g. Yvonne. That's an idea I had that I thought, well, that's worth writing down, so I wrote it in my notebook. And I came to my notebook and thought, oh, that's still a good idea, I'll type it up. And now I can't delete it because I'm hoping that, it will remind me what the hell it is about. So that, I suppose that's the other bit of advice, if you want to write.
Sounds like a good title, however.
Write your notes down as if they're for somebody else, because by the time you read them, you will be somebody. So I've sidetracked myself. What was the question?
Do you reuse failed bits of story?
I've certainly reused bits of story that worked. I've noticed that I'm currently writing a fantasy trilogy and finishing off a science fiction sequel to Hashtag, and I suddenly realised I've used the same plot device. Have you found like a delegate plot device? They're both. The person has a set of cards that tell them what to do. It's in both books, and it's not slightly. Oh dear. I'll have to nick for the rest.
And you get it to read both.
We did plays at science fiction conventions, and every single one had this scene in which we eventually cut for time purposes. So we did the first one, cut this scene, I thought, did the second play. We've got to have this scene in, so that was the first thing. So you're not starting with a blank page. You've got something, and then it's a bit long, so that's got cut. So I put it in the third play, and it got cut as well. It's not a great play, you can probably understand why. It was the football results. Played 7, Armadacon 5, Fantastic 4, Deep Space 9. Which is, it's a good laugh, isn't it? But it doesn't really take the plot any further. So yeah. I mean, there's that trick of not throwing an idea away, isn't there? When you're writing something, you spend ages and ages on a chapter like that, and you have loads to throw it away when you should. And I have the last chapter of every book I'm writing is called The Cutting Room Floor. It's like I cut and paste stuff to the back, on the off chance that I then reuse a paragraph. I never do, but I can't bring myself to delete it. And the fantasy trilogy, it's got, well, it's almost book length, the stuff that's been cut from it and shoved into this file. We'll do the trilogy, and then I'll do the kind of DVD extras for the book. All the scenes that were just too rubbish that didn't fit. Or I've written twice. I wrote a scene this week. I finished it, and I thought, well, that's quite good. And I sort of, not turned the page, but turned the page in the computer file. And the next chapter was the same chapter. I've written it twice. And I've got 2 chapters to do the same job, but they're slightly different. And I've never decided which is the best. And I've got to pick it out, I like that kind of thing. So I'm having to merge them together. So be organised.
Tickets 21 to 30?
Yeah.
They're doing them now. So if you've got 21 to 30, run away, got an opportunity to next.
Everybody who's coming to my talk is late numbers.
Potentially, or they're
No,
not.
I was number 4.
Depends on your version of late.
Oh, so you've just arrived?
Yes.
Well, I won't go through it again, but I've told the secret of writing and how to tell really good jokes.
And David has died twice, so.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a slow
So,
day.
are there any other questions for the reading?
Do you ever, with this, you said that you've got this chapter at the back end,
Yeah.
which is all the cut. Do you ever worry that you're going to send that copy to the publisher and it's going to get through the editor for somehow and it's actually going to get published? And then you're going to pick up the first print of the book and go, oh, crap.
Well, I am the publisher, so it would be my fault.
Yes.
Really. I would hope that the people who edit things and beta read them would kind of come back to me and go, why is there this strange dream sequence at the end where the person goes through everything that's happening in the book but in a slightly different way? I don't know. There is that terrible word that you use the wrong draft. This fantasy, I've been writing a fantasy novel with a friend since I was at university in 1980. No, it's getting away with the 80, I should have coughed earlier. And it's huge, and it's got subdirectories that are called in case of screw up, emergency backup. Just so much material for it.
Is that just fun, or are you actually going to publish that?
When you're writing a book, you should write from the sort of start to the end. You don't have to do it in order, but you just have to get your first draft out and finish. I did this book as NaNoWriMo in a month, and then spent a year sorting it out. But you've got to get your first draft out. The mistake James and I made is we started to rewrite the prologue. Get the prologue perfect, you know. After we rewrote the prologue, and we rewrote it, and each time it was slightly better. It's like the Doctor Who theme tune. Each time they redo the Doctor Who theme tune, it's slightly better than the previous version. And then you end up with something that's nothing like as good as the first version. So I found an old version of this prologue, but draft 3 or something. It was just so much better, so much more light. We'd written the light novel, technically out basic effect, but so we chucked away all the latest versions.
It's the problem with rewrites. You know, sometimes, okay, the grammar may be wrong, the spelling may be wrong, but the story is there, how you wanted it. Then you start to rewrite it and clean it up, and off the jokes go.
Yeah. Well, this is a problem. James did a draft where he took all the jokes out because, particularly with humour, if you hear a joke, my dog's got no nose, how does it smell? Terrible. That's not actually funny. My dog's got no nose, how does it smell? Terrible. That's less funny, isn't it? My dog's got no nose, how does it smell? You're all now bored and they're going to lynch you. If you reread humour, it stops working. So you have to trust your initial, this was funny when I first wrote it, I must stick to it. Which is a problem if you're using booze as an inspiration. Because quite a lot of things seem funny when you're drunk and aren't.
That's why I do endless rewrites.
Do you use any structuring tools to write? I mean, obviously I've read a lot I know nothing about novels, but I've read a lot of scripts because of the English program. And I know that when you script writing, a lot of script writers use things like index cards for scenes to kind of extract them so they can put a simple idea down and then move it if it's not in the right place. I mean, is novel writing very different? Do you outline stuff, or do you just write start at A and go to B and C or whatever?
I've done all 3 methods. We talk about pants plotting. I think piecemeal is the system I use, which I've never had anybody call it. Writing my decisions with pants is you just once at a time. If you write the whole thing in one continuous go, I've done that. We're working as a stage technical manager at Tamworth Snowdon, doing their Christmas show. So I've got
31 up. 31 up. So all your audience is now going to go.
Presumably this means something. And the point
Don't worry, it's really quick. They'll be back in a few minutes.
well, I'll just tell you this bit now. I'll do the secret of life.
Quick, get the defibrillator.
I was taking the stage manager in Tamworth Snowgate doing their Christmas show. Frosty the Snowman would make me go like that. We got up early in the morning, it was dark and cold, travel all the way to Tamworth Snowgate. We'd walk into the building, lovely heated lobby area. And then we'd go into the snow dome itself, which was refrigerated. Then we'd go into a green room they built inside it for us, which was heated. And in the green room was a fridge to keep the milk cold. And we did 3 shows an hour. We did 475 shows. We didn't hit 500 though. And for very obvious reasons, I was going mad. So I took my laptop in. I'll write into it. But I couldn't do it. You can't. You get into the story. You start writing, and there's big 5 minutes in bell or whatever. And you miss your cues, and that's so I had the laptop open with a single screen on it, and I outlined. And I spent 27 days outlining as a method show. So it's just a single side of A4, bullet point, what's going to happen in the story. And when I finished, I wrote it and I just poured out. So that, if you could plot for a month and then write it, I think that's the best way to do it. I just had patience. That was this thing. This is my anti-Christmas story. Yeah.
Dave, have you ever, apart from the bit in the freezer, not in the freezer, maybe in the freezer, ever run into the infamous writer spot where you start part way and then your brain just goes, back, I'm going over here somewhere?
Once I've had dreadful writer's block. I applied to do doctors, you know, the soap, and passed the idea stage, and then you had to submit a script. And they said, you write anything you want, if it's doctors. You take as long as you want, but most people submit, most professionals submit within a week. Okay, well, it's a week then, isn't it? And I thought, I'll take one of their ideas to prove I can write to a brief. So I selected the idea I was going to do, and I thought, this is the idea. What I'll do is I'll watch the episode of Doctors at lunchtime, and then in the afternoon I'll start writing this thing. I'll read them like mine. I sat down, and Doctors came on, and it was the very episode I chose to write. It came on, I went, and so I quickly switched the television off, started recording, and then I agonised for 3 days about whether I should watch it or not. And then I thought, I'll just write it. And then, because I was in such a panic, I'd forgotten to label the video, so I've never watched that episode. I haven't taken over it.
Could we hijack Dave? This is about your own best opportunity to have your photograph taken. It will be about 2 minutes. I apologise. It's terribly yes, go.
Told you. Sorry, what's that? Was that like, you know, you just ran in there and you went like...
Ran past and photobomb. That's an absolute
So I go, this is me with all the guest stars. Why do you look so haggard? Well, I was in the other room.
You're just under 4 minute mile.
Yeah. You didn't tell me where to go. I've been in the grand dealer's room, been up to the bar.
You did very well.
Oh, that's a small word. Got it. Someone think of another question that's brilliant.
I've got one, another one for you.
Yeah.
Completely ludicrous. Have you ever written anything on spec? I.e., someone said, this is the story we want, this has got to happen, and you write around it. I've done it.
Yes, I have. I want to write in residence with a youth scheme. Youth scheme. They get disadvantaged youths in to improvise scenes. And my job is to cobble it all together into a play, which we're then going to perform. It was bizarre. So these 2 guys walked in, they're big black guys with all the medallions and everything, and I've been doing costume, and the night costumes. And they all wanted to play pimps. We thought, well, let's improvise a scene, what would you like to be? And they go, oh, I want to be a pimp. So all the girls have to play prostitutes. And I had to cobble this together. But there was a scene. And I was coming up with no ideas at all. It would just be endless brothel, this would be. And there were these two guys, one of the big black guys and kind of skinny white guy. And it has to be that way round, it wouldn't work the other way around. And the white guy was saying, oh, I'm married, it's a boring life, etc. I'd much rather have your life. You get lots of bitches and things. And then the black guy goes, yeah, it's a good life, but I'm in love with one of my bitches, but I don't think she's good enough. Wow! Just an electric moment. That's going in. And yeah, it was a whole week of nothing, and people who were organising it saying, Dave, how's the play going? And it's fine, it's fine. And then suddenly it all comes flooding in. I guess, when I started out, I used to sort of panic. If you're writing your first novel, there's always that thing of, can you finish it? Can you actually write a novel? Can you run the marathon? Sort of thing. And when you've done a few, I know actually, I've hit a bit of a snap here. It's a bit wobbly, but I know I've done this before. I hit the same sort of, about 3/4 of the way through, I always hit a bit of a wobbly point with the writing process. I'm just used to it now, so I'm okay with it. So.
I've only ever done it once.
Yeah.
And we was all sat in here, and these people came out with suggestions for what they want in a radio play, and I had to write it.
Yeah.
And it got really bloody bizarre.
Well, I do think you fight against, if you're constrained, your creativity comes to life.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the same, isn't it? If you can do anything, if you start. Well, what's his name? Bloke who wrote Jonathan Creek and wrote One Foot in the Grave. His writing technique for One Foot in the Grave was to think of 5 unusual moments and then write an episode just, fit them all together.
But it worked, didn't it? Space 1889, it worked. Bloody stupid though.
These things do.
When you've got a deadline and it's looming, does that actually help the creative processes, or does it act as like an oppressive stop it?
I think that people who say I work better under pressure with a deadline are just people want to put things off, and they do it in the last minute rush. Do your homework. You start at school, doesn't it? I do my homework the night before. I don't think it helps. The way to write a novel is to do 1,000 words a day. Just waddle away.
Some creative industries they don't do well that way. I have that problem, which
Yeah.
is I do work better under pressure, in the sense that my brain will deliberately, if I want it or not, if I'm on a deadline, wake me up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And I'll actually have a useful constructive idea that I have to write down on a notepad next to my bed.
Yeah.
So that when I get up in the morning, I can implement it. And sometimes those never happen when I'm not got a deadline. I'm thinking, I'm waiting for something that nothing comes.
Well, this youth project, that was a deadline. So you maybe, I guess.
So there's a focus thing, is it?
I suppose the truthful answer is depends on who you are and what the project is. But I tend to say no because
Douglas Adams was another famous one who worked really well under pressure, except that the comment that he liked the sound of deadlines as they whizzed past his ear.
yeah.
And yes, not all of his stuff has been brilliant, but some of the stuff, his Hitchhiker's radio play, the fact he was writing the end of an episode as they were starting to record the beginning of the episode, made it a really, really good. And the same, when I've been writing, when you've got several months ahead, you go, oh yeah, I can do that, I'll have another bath, I'll have another cup of tea, and then it's tomorrow. But you're right, you do get rushed.
The name, say for Bibelbrots, the actual name, those 2 words. Douglas Adams, 3 baths to come up with. That's the thing. But I don't know, you say it wouldn't be as good. Would it have been better if he had slightly more time? Because the one you're talking about is the 2nd series,
Yeah,
where they said you could have the front cover of the Radio Times if you do it in a week,
yeah.
and it's just that. So how much better would it have been if he'd allowed more baths?
That's true.
It's not in the toilet.
Yeah, but from what I know about Douglas Adams from The Sound of Alan and from my experience in writing role-playing games is when I've got lots of time to have baths, I tend to find other things to do. It's knowing that I've got to write this because I'm going to run this game next week that makes me put my head down. And I think it is, as David said, it's a focus thing. It makes you focus.
If you go around a writer's house, you can tell whether they're working on a project because the dishes will be washed up. Well, I'll get that watch up. Oh, I'll do the dishes. I'll not worry about the dishes then. Yeah.
I've noticed, of course, because I do a lot of what we call old style D&D gaming with character sheets, and you've got to have an entire backstory for your character. Is if you say, right, we're going to do this, by the way, we need the group to actually produce new characters by the end of next week with full backstories, you know, complete with date of birth. It's a case of, right, that's it, mug of very, very strong coffee, let the slaughter begin on the keyboard.
I did a talk on improv for writers. Dawn, my partner, got interested in improv, and I was on this in improv. And I've done an acting course where they always did improv because the people running the course couldn't think what to teach. So, let's just do improv. And I've been good at D&D. I've done role playing, so I was good at that little sharp thought process. And then I became a writer, and now I do this course on improv, so do an improv thing. And my brain jumped the wrong way. It would go, oh yes, you do something with a hat. Why do something with a hat? Give me a fortnight. Rubbish. So in improv, you have to go into the scene before you know the ending. You've got to commit to it before you've thought it through. That's the same sort of thing.
It's the same as running a game.
And your brain comes up with ideas. It takes a bit of practice. Like everything else, your imagination can be exercised and gets better.
I find the hard part is that you come up with ideas, you come up with a really good, you can come up, and then it's actually getting it down on the paper is the hard bit. I've got an adventure I need to write for June, which is, again, loads of time. I'm avoiding that like the plague. And I've got a really good idea, and I know it'll work, but actually writing it is the hard bit.
You've got to put aside sacred time that you spend on it, and then you've got to give yourself permission to write rubbish.
I can do that.
There's two parts of your brain. Let's get this right around. Because your brain crosses in the middle. This hemisphere controls this half of your body. This is the logical side. And the creative side. This is why so many artists are left-handed. This is the dominant side of the brain. And to write, you need both parts of the brain. The logical side and the creative side. Unfortunately, not at the same time. So you need your creative side to put ideas down on paper, just bung ideas down, doesn't matter what they are. And the logical side comes in when you rewrite. But when you're creating your first draft, the logical side gets bored and starts to lean over your shoulder. And the shoulders will creep around. This is the good one, and this is the evil one. And the evil one will go, well, that's spelled wrong. That's rubbish. That whole paragraph's crap. You call something right. So you've got to cheat this one. This side of the brain. NaNoWriMo is a technique where you're writing so fast that the right-hand side of the brain goes to a spelling mistake. No, go back. There's a spelling mistake there. No, seriously.
On that side.
And one of the other tricks is to say, look, I know this is rubbish, but it's just a temporary first draft. I'm going to do like 20 more drafts, and don't worry about it. So I've got a question.
It's all right, so hi.
Go.
Just a question. I've heard this answered by the people. What difference between cliche and archetype?
Oh, yes. An archetype is a word you use for a thing when you're being pretentious, and a cliche is when someone else has done it. Oh, isn't it? I was. That's quite good. Warm up the paddles. Whoever writes it down first, they've got copyright.
It says the only man with a notebook in the room.
The video.
Time.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a science fiction writer. I was hamstrung by coming up with original ideas, all cliche, been done before. And then I went to do plays. I got an amateur drama group, and the person in charge of the amateur drama group wanted us to enter a festival with a one-act play. And all the one-act plays you brought along were middle-aged couple in sour marriage. All of them. And we'd just done 3 full-length plays, sort of on the trot, middle-aged couple in sour marriages. That's all amateur drama does, as far as I'm concerned. And I arrogantly said I could do better myself. And I have to. So I wrote this play, which was about a young couple. And I suppose, has that been done before? Yes, of course, it probably has been done before. But it's the way you write it. I mean, somebody did stay in a festival, won the Rose Bubble. So we went for a celebration meal afterwards, after the award ceremony, with this massive piece of silverware in an Indian restaurant, thing full of lager, drinking. I'm going to be a writer. And I realised, moving away from the genre, you didn't have to be original, completely original. So I moved back to sort of science fiction with that in mind. Did a play at Easter in Bagel, and Mark Slater afterwards came to me and said, Dave, that was reasonably original. The result, because he's very well read. So it's what you write, it's how you use your cliches, isn't it? If people go, oh, hum, when they come across the wine old man, it's a cliche. If they go, oh, that's an interesting take, then it's an archetype we used. It's much more wise. That's pretentious, actually. Anything else?
Yeah, the earlier answer is probably more truthful.
Are you ever part way through a play and realise it should be a novel, or part way through a short story and realise it should be a play, or how do you know which to pick and what fits?
The other Christmas Carol started off with a film script. So I wrote a film script and then I adapted it. I don't know. You see, I could write one-act plays really quickly. They're only 8,000, 9,000 words. And it looks impressive because not very much on the page, really. I've sort of used all my one-act play ideas. I did a film course. Film course with like 30 people on it. The only person interested in doing drama was me. You think, for goodness sake, you're on a film course, what so I did, I borrowed the cameras and I did a short film one weekend, and then there's another short film the next weekend. I do a short film every single weekend. I'll never do the other one. I guess you get a feel for it. But some ideas could be easily translated to others. I think you can go from a stage play to prose easily, because you've got all the dialogue's done, all the plot's done, all you're doing is writing a description. But to go the other way, to take a novel, adapt it from the screen, can be tricky. It often doesn't work, does it? I think that's why people like doing short stories as films, because you've got bare bones, flesh it out, build and write. Filming it. Anything else?
What projects are you working
on? I've written and rewritten a political novel called Crossing the Bridge, and I'm going to publish that as soon as the political situation quietens down a bit. Becomes stable. I've written a sequel to Hashtag, which Dawn's currently reading. I'm rewriting this thing with James that we might go for decades. And I've got the first draft of the fantasy trilogy written, I need to get back to, and it just gets on and on. I'm writing a book on how to independently publish with a friend of mine. And on one of the first pages, it's got also by Anthony Conway, and he listed all his books. And then also by David Wayne. And I noticed he'd stuck an extra one in, the one he was working on. Not all the way, he hasn't published it yet. Well, as a joke, I just wrote down all of my projects that I was planning to do when I was papers. I don't need a lot of big ideas. I need lots of little ideas, but I don't really need a big idea.
Is that usually when you get a big idea, just because it will get in the way?
Yes. 3/4 of the way through writing anything, suddenly this other idea is so much better. This is the brilliant idea. It must go like this idea. It's just laziness to get the hard work bit.
Is self-publishing kind of hard? Because, I mean, there's a lot of issues at the moment with app stores and even Amazon digital books and things. Due to the volume of people putting stuff up, is actually getting your stuff found.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is it a brick wall, or is it a case that you need to build yourself a media presence?
You have to endlessly go to conventions and beg the convention committee to do something. That's what you have to do. Please let me do something.
What we did, anything you want.
It's a really interesting time in publishing. Interesting time in that Chinese curse sense. Traditional publishing is contracting. It's coming down. If that's quality, then it's just narrowing. They're playing safe, so they're coming down like this. And independent publishing is just huge. The best independent publishing, best writing, is independently published. Without question, the worst is also independently published. So it is hard to discover. Yeah, because there is. I mean, Create Space, which is one out of that I use, it's thousands of books a week. There was an age, wasn't there, back in the sort of 50s and 60s, where you could read all science fiction that was published back then. You couldn't even list.
That's one of the curses of technology, because it all started with desktop publishing. When people could do their own printing, you get the Church Gazette with 16 fonts and 5 colours on the first page, because they had no formal training in typography. And then it came with video. As soon as you could wield a video camera, you could make your own film and had no concept of narrative structure or anything. And you get all this crap, and of course lots of it goes up on YouTube as well.
NaNoWriMo, Create Space offered people to do NaNoWriMo it's there to publish their book. Isn't it? And that's persuading people that you can write a book in a month and then immediately publish it. That's just ludicrous. And the reason why I've got so many books in the pipeline is that my pipeline has been very long because I'm getting more professional over it. I want to be edited more, to be edited more, cover, and I'm learning all the time. I'm in a collective called New Street Authors in Birmingham, where we all sort of get together once a month. Swap skills, really. And we started to do readings and so forth. And we're getting better at it. But we've got a lot to learn, because you're not just the independent publisher, you're also the art director, the chief editor, the public ACT, you're doing every job. The plan of the collective is, I'll format your ebook, you do my cover. But it's an interesting time. I mean, once upon a time, I sent iPhone off to publishers, regular intervals. I chatted to one of the agents, the chief editors, at a convention. I said, "What's the book?" And he said, "Send it along." So it's a warm call. I sent it along, and 2 years later, some pestering, they'd lost it. And then I sent it in again, and they spent another year before they came around and said about it. With more pestering, and they said it was all right. Which is fair enough, but it took them 3 years. This is near future SF. You're trying to predict what's going to happen in 5 years' time. In 3 years, you've lost it, haven't you? You've lost that race. If I'd got my political novel out last year, it would have been current. Now it's nonsense. There you go. I've got a reading I could do. Yeah, you're a reading. That is on. I've got a reading.
If I can have a lecture.
Oh, well, why do people keep in touch all the time? He had a new phone, 2 new phones. It's like they were breeding. And there was nothing wrong with his old mobile. He even had a landline, a neat reproduction Bakelite with a built-in answering machine and its dials. Its buttons arranged in an old-fashioned dial. It sat on a little table in the hall, with a fancy desk light, letter rack, a ball for his keys and loose change. Beep! Like he was calling. Why did the stupid machine thank his callers after they hung up? The red message received light blinked for attention. You press play. 2 new messages. Message 1. Keith dear, did you get me your new phone? You can test it by coming off. Message deleted. Mothers, honestly. Christmas and birthdays are when you talk to family. Apparently he hadn't rung in ages. So she brought him a new phone, hint, hint. But don't ring during driver's question time. Do you think of others, kid? Message 2. Keith, what do you think of your new phone? I'm calling him. Shh, tell you I'm on the phone.
It was Shirley. Why had she sent him a new phone? Because his old one was so last century. Bed is where you whisper sweet nothings to your girlfriend. Or restaurants. If she wasn't always on her phone, Facebook, texts, calls. Calls and texts are all out. Are just demonstrations of insecurity. I need to be loved, I need to be loved. He wanted some peace and quiet. Which was ironic, considering the argument between his girlfriend and her friend Tanya still playing in the background. Beep, and the message. His old phone didn't work because he studiously didn't switch it on. Hang on. His old phone was a 21st century model. The product, the very 21st century that could be seen out of the triple glazed windows of his city apartment. It was all there, a constant stream of passers-by, all hunched over their phones like monastic zombies, underlit by their screens. Why is everybody so obsessed by their phones? People are always misplacing them, aren't they? Ring it, that's the trick. Landline. What was his old mobile? 0779? Chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp. Like a lost budgie, he stalked it. Warm, cold, warm, very warm. The sound stopped. The sobbing thing had gone to voicemail. He counted a non-calming 10 and then pressed redial. Chirp, 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 chirp. Gotcha. Little bugger, hiding in plain sight by the sofa. So now he had 2 phones, or 3, or 4, counting the old mobile and the landline, and 1 woman to disappoint. He supposed he could swap the SIM card back and forth, depending on whether he was booked for a romantic evening meal or a family meal. That's lousy, not a farce. I mean, 2. Such a shit. The card fluttered onto the floor. Oh, hell. Now he didn't know which was which. Mother, girlfriend, they both looked like models a salesman would recommend. Oh, eeny, meeny, miny. Once he snapped the cap off the bottle, cold from the fridge and refreshing, down to business. Silver or black? Black. A quick rip of cardboard, something sticky, meant he had a brand new phone without a SIM card. Well, just take the SIM card out of the old one. Couldn't have run away, could he? He must have picked it up and absent-mindedly put it down somewhere. Retrace your steps. Kitchen fridge. Oh, another beer. So it was on the island sofa. He picked it up and where's the new one? Oh, he had it in his hand not 5 seconds ago. There it was, under the sofa. About 3 inches away. He rammed his hand under, moving from side to side to try and make contact. But he couldn't. All he could feel was the rough material on the underside sawing away his flesh. It was there, and now he looked properly, about 6 or 7 inches away. He found a ruler and probed under the sofa. Nothing. For goodness sake. Practically upside down, he found a position where he could look and probe at the same time. Yes, the phone was just over 12 inches or 30 centimetres away. He moved the sofa to one side, which is what he should have done in the first place, and picked it up. Also under the sofa were a couple of beer bottle tops and a spare set of card keys. Suddenly he found himself standing on the chair, squeaking like a little girl. An aftershock of writhing legs and pincers processed through his brain. The phone, where he dropped it, squirmed, limbs flailed, until one found enough leverage to flip itself over, and then it scurried across the carpet to disappear into the sofa. There was some thing in the phone. Big, with legs and pincers. Sure it was. He stepped back and forth and can't be sure what to do. Then the thing crawled out from under the sofa, scuttled across the lounge towards the hall. He leapt off the chair, tugged with a desire to attack and the fear of getting too close. The creature turned the corner. And then he saw the mobile phone clawing its way up the leg of the table, the whole table. It heaved itself onto the top, and then shook off the shell-like, big plastic casing. The naked, repulsive pulse as it gasped with the effort of wriggling across. It reached his old mobile phone, poured the casing open and squeezed itself inside. He took a tiny step backwards, almost to create a space between him and there was a bulb, a desk light, a silver phone and the empty black one, which glistened slightly where a slime trail started, and his old mobile, just lying there as if nothing happened. He snatched up a card from the floor and used it to poke it. Nothing. Perhaps it moved. Legs appeared. And it scurried to the edge. He hit it with a card, which did nothing but waft air. He needed a proper weapon. Ring! He nearly had a heart attack. Hello, he heard himself say. I'm not in at the moment, so if you'd like to leave a message, I'll get back to you. He grabbed the big baker-like phone, and the thing sprang into the air and landed on the floor. It knew. It looked at him with its single glassy cyclops eye as it backed away. But he had that little bugger try. Dear boy, he raised the landline and it stopped dead, checked in mid-air by the cord. He yanked it, and the jack failed at the phone socket, but the creature seized its chance and crabbed over his left foot. Oh! The thing disappeared again under the sofa. Anger made him brave. As if he was looking under a rock, he bumped the sofa to one side and grabbed the thing in a single, deft movement. He had it, it wriggled, it writhed, pincers clipped around, but ignored it. He went into the kitchen and whipped out one of the expensive kitchen knives from its holder and just stopped himself from stabbing it. He planned what he was going to do next. He dropped it on his back in the middle of the kitchen table and stabbed it in one decisive moment. The point jabbed in, and when he drew it back for another lunge, it was still impaled on the blade. He rammed it out again, hard, burying the stainless steel in the tabletop. Its innards oozed dark goo across the polished surface. Pinned, the creature struggled desperately. The knife oscillated like a tuning fork when he let go. His heart still pounded away. He felt sick. When he opened the fridge to get a beer, the cold, antiseptic light fell across the dead monstrosity. The fizz made him choke. He needed to talk to someone. Anyone, surely his mum. He needed his mum. The landline was lying on the floor where he dropped it. It was dead. Then he remembered that the line had been yanked out of the socket. He tried putting it back in, but the plastic had distorted when it snapped. Then he remembered the second new phone, the silver one. That probably didn't have a SIM card either. No, he could try and recover his old SIM. He didn't fancy that idea at all. Even the thought of going back into the kitchen made him shudder. Well, what choice did he have? He pushed the kitchen door open with his toe and peered in. The knife was still stuck in the table, still stabbed through the creature's corpse. So he took the handle with both hands and pulled. On the second jerk, it came out. It was meat on a skewer, a kind of seafood kebab. Its legs and pincers hung loose and disjointed like a puppet with its strings cut. Careful not to touch it, I think he used his finger on the dirty knife to ease the slider open and drop the SIM card out. It landed miraculously intact. He should report this, or sell it on eBay. The news might pay for the story. Once he got his phone working, he'd take a few pictures. Back in the lounge, he tried to put the SIM card into the new phone, but it wouldn't go. Well, wait. He pushed the battery back and bing, bing, bing. His contacts were there. N came before S, so he green buttoned his mother. It rang. Mum, you're not going to believe. It's Keith. Keith, your son. Look, the phone juddered in his hand like it was on vibrate. Several pincers shot out to grab it, and there was a slurping adhesion as the phone clamped itself to his skin, needled into his flesh with an excruciating tickling caused by all the legs, claws, and tentacles. His mother's voice sounded through the speaker, distant and distorted. He brought his left hand round to assist his right. There had been one of those things in both phones. He had to get the bloody thing off, and something slithered out. A tube inserted itself into his ear. It pulsed. As it squirted out its contents, the pressure built, a deep underwater whoosh, followed by a blissful pop as it penetrated his eardrum. Such a wonderful release, followed by a searing pain that gifted him with a superhuman strength to tear it off and fling it across the room. Something was implanted inside. He stabbed and searched with his fingers to pull it out of the delicate tunnels of his ear. In a harmonic blur, it scrunched up his auditory canal. It reached his cochlea, and then his balance went, and he toppled over like a drunk. He lay paralyzed, eyes wide, as a prickling sensation spread across his skull. Time ceased to have meaning. The digital bars of the clock meant nothing. They were random, changing with as much significance as the light and dark that came through the triple glazed windows. Eventually, creating a soothing flow of warm blood, it pushed new life in the engine. Air rushing into its internal tubes and sacs as it faltered then fell. Its fresh body glistened as its spindly legs pulled it across the rough carpet. Another set of tentacles emerged from the man's ear, like waving stamens of a beautiful flower, followed by another, and another, and another. Soon, a line of misshapen creatures, none truly squid or crab or spider, followed each other along the trails of fetal fluid. Two of them found the waiting mobile phone and fought for it. The winner pulled its dead parent from the casing and then backed itself in, its body finding a new shape in the rectangular cavity as if it was a paste. Once inside its newly acquired armoured shell, it turned to fight off its vulnerable, unprotected brothers and sisters. The battle was short. Soon there was only the phone and the ruptured remains of the rest of the brood. It rang. A trill, insistent noise, so the man got up and talked to it. There, he said. And he gently put it to his ear and let the hatchling feed it. Once it was gorged, the man put it down carefully and set about tidying away the mess. Before returning to the phone, he sat with the cooing creature, tickling its underside, massaging the baby through the screen, stroking it with his thumb from side to side. Everything was right with all. Soon, the man would take it for a walk. They would go to the shops together. There would be new phones there, bright and shiny. It could lay some eggs, and each would make a perfect present for all his friends, and then everyone could keep in touch. Apparently, in every performance, I throw myself on the floor.
Lucky it's mildly soft.
Oh gosh, it's 5 to 12, so I was going to do the secret of writing and so forth, but I've run out of time. Any questions? David? Oh yes.
Was that a whole story or part of a bigger?
That's a whole story. That's the story I did for my...
And what's it called?
It's called Hang Up. And I did it for my MA. It's in the MA anthology. For that year. Called Blood from a Stone. Talk about deadlines and so forth. The arguments we had about what to call anthology. But yeah, I should do it. Actually, I'm not really a short story writer. Really?
I think you just proved you are.
Right, that's my short story.
Are you going to retire now?
Well, I think of myself as a novelist. Bloke who was doing the fiction course of the MA said he used to be a novelist. And he went, well, you've written novels. I went, no, I'm not writing any now. I used to be a novelist. So I guess I used to be a playwright. I'm now a novelist. Or a lunatic who throws himself on the floor.
We'll vote on that later.
I have copies of my books. I have free bookmarks. Obviously, I'm around the conventions about
Buying pints usually works.
Oh yes, black and white, lovely, really nice, and the wild blonde.
So
thank you very much.
thank you to David.